Most people think the empath stopping is the tragedy of the story. I want to challenge that completely. Because here's the thing. The moment an empath stops rebuilding, stops reaching, stops quietly stitching everything back together every single time the avoidant pulls away, that moment isn't a loss. It's actually the most important turning point the whole relationship has ever seen. And almost nobody calls it what it is. So, that's what we're doing today. Let me start with a myth, a really stubborn one I hear almost every week from people who are deep in this dynamic, exhausted, hollowed out, who have given so much of themselves they can't even remember what they wanted in the first place. And the myth is this: empaths are built to keep going, that the loving thing, the evolved, emotionally intelligent thing, is to keep showing up, keep trying, keep holding space. That stopping means failing. That pulling back just means you didn't love enough. I've heard this framed so many ways. If you truly love someone, you don't give up on them. Or, healing takes time, you have to be patient. Or the really quiet, really devastating version: maybe I just need to become more secure, and then they'll finally feel safe enough to choose me. You know what that last one costs? Everything. So at first you try harder, communicate better, love deeper, stay softer. You tell yourself, if you just show up a little more clearly, a little more kindly, things will balance out. And it's such a believable story, because it comes wrapped in the language of healing. It sounds like growth. It sounds like compassion. It sounds like the kind of person you actually want to be. But here's what it actually is. It's self-abandonment with a spiritual vocabulary. And this is the part that changes everything. The empath in an avoidant relationship isn't just giving love. They're doing something way more specific. They're managing the entire connection for both people. They're the one who notices the distance forming and moves toward it. They're the one who finds the soft words after a hard moment. They're the one researching, reading, watching videos at midnight, trying to understand why someone they love keeps leaving. A push-pull dynamic forms. One person distances to feel safe. The other moves closer to restore connection, which then triggers more distancing. And over time, both people get stuck in roles they never consciously chose. One becomes the distancer, the other becomes the pursuer. And it just keeps looping, because the empath keeps rebuilding. Here's what nobody talks about, though. The avoidance return, that moment when they come back after going cold, after making you feel invisible, it doesn't feel like a red flag when you're inside it. It feels like relief. It feels like your nervous system finally exhaling. And honestly, your brain isn't wrong to respond that way. The pattern is similar to intermittent reinforcement, the same psychological mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Your brain gets hooked on the uncertainty. When they pull away, dopamine drops. When they come back, it surges. Unavailable people start to feel intoxicating. Steady love starts to feel boring. So when the avoidant returns, your nervous system floods with warmth. And what happens next is almost automatic. You rebuild. You soften whatever boundaries you'd started to form. You tell yourself, this return is the proof you were waiting for. That it means they care. That this time is different. And maybe it is. For a little while. But then the withdrawal happens again. Because the pattern underneath hasn't changed. If someone with avoidant attachment only comes back because the distance made them feel safe enough to, they'll likely leave again once the connection gets close. And the empath rebuilds. And again, until one day, and I really want you to understand this, one day they don't. They stop. Not dramatically, not with a speech. It's not even a decision they could clearly put into words. It happens quietly, over time, after years of holding space for someone else while quietly abandoning themselves. It's not a wall slamming shut. It's more like a light slowly dimming. And most people I talk to who've reached this point describe it the same way. They say, I just had nothing left. Nothing left to give. Nothing left to spend on someone who wasn't spending anything on me. Okay, here's where the myth gets really dangerous. Because the moment the empath stops rebuilding, the avoidant almost always notices. and they come back, sometimes faster than you'd expect, sometimes with more warmth, more reaching, more apparent vulnerability than you've seen in months. And every part of you that's been starved for that connection wants to read that as progress. But I want to ask you something, and I want you to sit with this honestly. Is that return a sign they've changed? Or is it a sign that the emotional safety net has disappeared and their nervous system is panicking? Research suggests someone with high attachment avoidance can feel comfortable enough to return when there's distance, only to leave again once the connection gets too close. It's the same cycle, just reset. This is the part that's genuinely hard to hold, because the return feels real, their reaching feels real, the connection has always been real. The question isn't whether they feel something when you stop. The question is whether what they feel is enough to make them actually do the uncomfortable work of becoming someone who can stay. And here's something important. These aren't conscious choices. They're learned habits that once helped the avoidant feel stable. They're not pulling away to punish you. Closeness, real, sustained, emotionally present closeness, genuinely registers as threatening to their nervous system. Here's the part most people miss entirely, though. The empath knows this. That's almost the worst part. The empath understands the avoidance wounds. They've studied them, held them tenderly, made endless room for them. Research has found that highly avoidant individuals are actually less empathically accurate than more secure people, meaning the avoidant often isn't meeting the empath's emotional experience with anywhere near the same depth being offered to them. The empathy flows almost entirely in one direction. The empath, who feels everything, knows what the avoidant is running from. They just can't make them stop running. You can't. I'm so sorry. You genuinely can't. People with attachment avoidance can become more secure, but they can't be pulled there. It requires self-motivation and real effort on their part. So, what actually happens inside the empath when they stop? Not as a tactic, not as a test, not as some strategy to make the avoidant miss them, but because they've run out of road. Something unexpected happens. Grief first. Real grief. The kind that feels like losing the relationship and losing some version of yourself at the same time. Because you've been so organized around keeping this person close that when you stop, you don't know what to do with your hands. You've spent so much mental energy tracking their moods, their distance, their returns, that the silence feels almost disorienting. But then, slowly, something else. Research has found that the distress from this kind of separation can actually become a catalyst for personal growth, which I know sounds like something you put on a journal cover, but it's real. The empath who stops rebuilding doesn't become cold. They don't become avoidant. They become careful. They've learned the hard way that not everyone deserves access to their emotional depth. That being open without safety isn't vulnerability, it's self-betrayal. That distinction matters so much. There's a difference between choosing not to pursue someone and closing your heart. What the empath discovers when they stop is that their capacity for love hasn't disappeared. It's just started redirecting. Toward themselves, maybe for the first time in a long time. Toward friendships that are actually reciprocal, toward a version of their life that doesn't revolve around managing someone else's fear. Now, the avoidants return after the empath has genuinely stopped. Because it's different from the returns that happened before. This isn't the avoidant coming back because you chased and they felt the familiar pull of the dynamic restoring. This is them returning into actual absence, into a space where you're no longer waiting, where your life has started reorganizing itself without them at the center. Unlike anxiously attached people who feel immediate, acute grief, avoidants experience what researchers call delayed affect. Their emotional processing is time-shifted. Studies have found that avoidantly attached individuals showed reduced grief right after a separation but experienced unexpected surges of attachment-related distress weeks or months later. So, when they return this time, they're not trying to restore their comfort zone. They're returning because the loss has finally reached them. And that's genuinely different. It deserves to be seen clearly, not dismissed, not immediately embraced, but seen. Here's the question worth asking, though. Are they showing you actual change, or just giving you enough hope to stay hooked? Because there's a difference. Signs of real change look like consistency, self-motivated effort, not effort contingent on whether you take them back. And most importantly, actions that actually line up with words. That last one. Actions aligning with words. That's the whole thing. Because an avoidant who's genuinely doing their own work doesn't come back with a, "Hey, I miss you" text. They come back with behavior that looks different from all the behavior that came before. They initiate hard conversations instead of avoiding them. They name what went wrong instead of rewriting history. They sit inside the discomfort of vulnerability instead of retreating the second it gets real. And the empath, the one who has stopped, who has grieved, who has started coming home to themselves, they can see the difference now. They can see it because they're no longer looking through the lens of hope and longing and the desperate need for this specific person to finally choose them. Here's what nobody tells you about waiting for an avoidant to come back. Even if they do return, it doesn't heal the wound they're leaving created. The wound heals through your own work, whether they come back or not. The returning avoidant doesn't hand you your self-worth. They don't prove you were lovable all along. You have to know that independently. And that right there is the whole answer. The empath stopping isn't about the avoidant. It never was. It's about the empath finally turning the same care they've been pouring outward, inward. It's about recognizing that what they were rebuilding over and over wasn't actually a partnership. It was a project. And you can't sustain a project alone. You can't love someone into a place they haven't chosen to walk toward themselves. Here's what I want to leave you with. The moment you stop rebuilding, the relationship tells you its truth. If it survives without you doing all the labor, it was real. If it collapses the moment you stop carrying it, what you were carrying wasn't a relationship. It was the performance of one. And you deserve better than a performance. You deserve someone who would build with you, not someone who only showed up after you had already laid the foundation. That's not a small thing to know. That's everything.